now I'm going to pass the mic on, and then we'll finish. When we finish, we'll take as many questions as you want.
Thank you. Very nice. I took all that in, very much so. Thank you. I'm Renee King-Sanan, also known as Sangeeta. My guru is Swami Satchidananda, and in the West, for me anyway, we do astrology. Absolutely. We have a sanctuary called Rowdy Girl Sanctuary. A lot of folks think I'm a rowdy girl, and yes, I became pretty rowdy when my calf, Rowdy Girl, started showing me the community of the cows. You see, I used to be a cattle rancher, me and my husband, in Texas. On Highway 35, it appeared that we had a beautiful pasture full of cows, and on the inside, what's really happening is when the babies would get 6 months old, we would load the babies up, trap them in a trailer, and I'm sad to say that we used to send those babies crying to the sale barn, to the auction, while their mothers followed the trailer crying after them. I am sad to say that I used to participate in the violence of animal agriculture. We are the very first cattle ranch in the world, documented, to go vegan and live to tell about it. Thank you. You know, when I first took on this mission, it was October 31st, 2014. And I didn't do it for any notoriety. I did it because I was literally losing my mind. Being married to a cattle rancher was not fashionable to go vegan. If you are married to a cattle rancher, you don't go vegan, unless you want a divorce right now. It's as bad as having an affair. It truly is. It was a nightmare for me. But eventually, over time, my husband too went vegan. So my husband Tommy is also, he's known as Mr. Rowdy. He's back home taking care of all the cows. He couldn't come with me. I wish he could. But we have currently 69 bovine, all rescued from slaughter, every single one of them. We have goats, we have chickens, we have ducks, we have rabbits, we have pigs, we have turkey. A turkey named Celie, she owns the place. And we have a myriad of people that come and see us. Now, how did this happen? A normal person like me in Texas that went vegan on a cattle ranch. One of the things I know when people ask me, how did you do this? What can I do? How do I do this? I tell you, everybody sitting in this chair has a story. Everyone has a mission. Everyone is born with a vision in their heart. And what I know as a former performer, I used to sing, I used to perform, I had my own band, country and western show band. And what I know is that I thought that my life purpose was to be a singer. I didn't know that it was to sing for the cows. Okay? What I really found out after all of these things I thought I was supposed to be doing, what the guru, what God showed me is, Renee, your purpose is to be with the cows, to take your guitar and sing to them, to be with them, to teach them, to listen to them. We are all born with a vision. We have to stop long enough to listen and to hear what that is. When I went vegan, and my husband wasn't, I used to go out and live with the cows. I could not stay at home. We had 96 acres at the time, and when I went vegan, I would take my lunch, and I would go with my backpack and my guitar, and I would go be with the cows. When they sat down, I sat down. If they laid down, I laid down. When they walked and ate, I watched them. I would get on the ground with them. I would go lay by them. And eventually, I became one of the herd. I know what it is to be a member of the bovine family. Why? Because I see them as my family. They are my family. Rowdy Girl herself is my child. I had no physical children, but Rowdy Girl and all the cows I see as my own family. They all had names. They all had medical files. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. And what I learned as this all started happening is the world wanted to know our story. I didn't go out there looking for any media, okay? But the media came to us. Why? Because our story was so real, so powerful. Everyone sitting in this room has that story inside them. Everybody has the element of the sun. The sun shines. We all are born to shine. When we know what that is inside of us and we surrender to what we're here for, not what everybody else says we're here for, we will shine and we will attract to us the very thing we need to be that star shine into the world, to attract whatever it is we need to fulfill the mission. Why? Not for ourselves, but for whatever it is that the animals need on this planet. Because every single animal in this world needs your voice. They need your voice, not my voice. My voice is being used for my community, my starshine, my sunshine. You have your own voice, and you need to be heard. You need to shine wherever you are. Whenever we went vegan on the cattle ranch and the media started coming to us, I remember when CBS Evening News called. It was probably 3 months after I went vegan, and I get a call from New York. Steve Hartman on the road. He wanted to come do a story. They heard about us because my husband, he didn't want to get out of the business. He wanted to keep the business. And I said, no, if you send those cows to the sale barn one more time, I'm going to follow you. And I'm going to go to the sale barn and I'm going to buy them all back with your credit card and I'm going to bring them back home. This story went viral, okay, because I wasn't kidding. I would have taken a bullet in the street for them animals at that time, but my husband knew it. And he said, Renee, you need to get out of my business. Stop, get out of my business. I said, no, that's no longer a business. These animals are now my family. You try me. And so I started a story, a Facebook journal. It was called Vegan Journal of a Rancher's Wife. My husband didn't know I was doing this because I was desperate to find help, to find support, to find people that would believe in me. And I found vegans started coming to my rescue. And they showed me and they told me, go buy your husband's cows. You can do this. Go buy your husband's cows. And I went, me buy my husband's cows? I mean, seriously? Who does that? But anyway, there's a guy named Kip Anderson. You may know him. He's the director of Cowspiracy. He is on our board of directors, and we became very good friends. And he said, Renee, do what I did. I started a Indiegogo, and I raised money to fund Cowspiracy. He said, do that. And so I set one up, talked to an attorney, got help, did it, and then I went to my husband. I didn't tell him. He did not know any of this. And I said, hey, if you're going to sell all the cows, we were standing in the pasture. I said, why don't you just sell them to me? He said, sell them to you? Are you crazy? I said, yes, I am kind of crazy. At this point in time, I had lost the mind I was living with and had a new one. And I said, if you're going to sell them all at the sale barn, what will you sell them to me for? Here I am bargaining with my husband. And he said, oh, yeah, Renee, right. He didn't believe me. And he said, yeah, okay, I'll sell them to you. I could get $35,000, $40,000 for them at the sale barn. I'll give them to my wife for $30,000. I said, great. And I said, will you let me keep them on the land for 1 year? He said, yeah, Renee, right, 1 year. I said, how about 2 years? He said, sure, Renee. And he's laughing at me, just laughing. And I went back to my friends on my vegan journal, and I told them, I started the fundraiser, and within 4 months, this is what can happen for each and every one of you. Within 4 months, I raised $36,000, had a festival, raised the money. CBS Evening News came out, told our story. Next thing you know, it's all over the United States of America, and our story went viral, seen millions of times. I didn't mean to become an influencer. It happened. You don't have to try to be an influencer. If you live by your passion and 100% are willing to do whatever you have to do for the animals, I promise you, whatever it is that needs to be found will chase you. It will chase you. And just like the Miss Gandhi, Monique said, you won't have to worry about it. The money will come. The money will come. We take care of all these animals, and we fundraise, we have members, and I don't know how the money comes, but the money comes to take care of everyone. And when all of our story went viral, the ranchers started calling me. The actual cattle ranchers, the people that vegans can't talk to. Why? Because cattle ranchers don't want to talk to vegans, and vegans think cattle ranchers are the enemy. So what happened? The cattle ranchers started calling me because they saw our story on CBS Evening News, they saw our story on Southwest Airlines, Animal Planet, whatever, and then they started wanting to know how they could also change. They were asking me. This epiphany, this awakening of cattle ranchers started the Rancher Advocacy Program. Our main programming at Rowdy Girl is helping ranchers transition out of animal ag into plant-based farming. Yes. Currently, we are working with a cattle ranch and chicken farm in Arkansas. They used to produce 100,000 chickens every 52 days with a major integrator. And now we are growing mushrooms, exotic mushrooms in these houses. I am happy to say that at capacity, we will be producing 67,000 pounds a week of oyster mushrooms, of lion mane, of trumpet, the kind of mushrooms that the world is clamoring for right now. Why? Because the story is real in you. You all have your own stories. The main thing is to know that your story has power. It already has power. You don't have to beg for it. You don't have to ask for it. Your story is genuine. It's real. And then take it to social media. It's very, very important, as you've already heard, to have accounts on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Get volunteers to help you. Eventually, I used to do all my own social media. Now I have people helping me from all over the world. They help me right now. While I'm here, people are helping me with my social media. I also post, but people are helping me. Why? Because when you have consumers that love your story, they want to consume your content. And so you've got to give them content. Give them content that is going to save the animals, save the planet. And then, because our story went so viral, somebody contacted me. Her name is Connie Spence. And Connie is my partner in the Agriculture Fairness Alliance. AFA is a 501c4, and we are a vegan-backed lobbying group, as you've already heard. Also, if you don't take your activism into Congress or into Parliament or wherever that is, you will be totally ineffective. So I have had to learn, and I'm so grateful she came to me. She wanted to know our transition models to transition cattle ranchers to, plant-based farming. And so she took our model and they created the legislation to help farmers transition. So currently we hired 3 lobbyists, and all with vegan-backed lobbying dollars. Everybody just volunteers and pays for the lobbyist. And we talk to them lobbyists every single week. Every week we have lobbyists going to the United States White House and talking to our legislators, talking to our representatives. And Connie Spence and I will be on the doorsteps of Congress in February, getting ready for the upcoming Farm Bill, which only comes around every 5 years. You have to get active. You have to stay active. You have to never give up. Never give up. It doesn't matter what you think, how tired you get. Take care of yourself, yes. Above all, take care of yourself. I am the type of extrovert that has to have a whole lot of, I have to have a whole lot of silence. I have a deep spiritual life. I know that everything that comes from me, the power that comes through me, is not of me. It is not me. It is a power that radiates through me because I'm in line with my mission. That is the secret to me of all great activists, is for you not to do what I did or what anybody else does. Do what caused you and get in touch with your highest power and let that power radiate from you. And I promise that when you do that, great things will happen in your life. I believe that with all my heart. We are also currently working, it's very, very private right now, but we are working with one of the biggest food companies, vegan food companies right now in the world. I can't tell you who, but I can tell you this. Our next project is to teach cattle ranchers how to capture carbon instead of cattle on property. So if you can teach cattle ranchers how to make money rewilding their farm, bringing back the carbon and getting paid to do that instead of farming cattle, they will do that. Because right now in my county, it's a drought, a very big drought. And cattle ranchers are wanting to get out of the business. Why? Because they can't feed their cows. We're feeding our cows, but they can't feed their cows. Okay? Because they kill them every 6 months. They send them to the sale barns. And so now they're taking all of their animals to the sale barn very premature because they cannot feed them and they want to get out of the business. What are they going to do? Our planet is burning. We are on fire. It is a crisis. So it's very important that you all individually find your purpose, find your mission, and start shining not tomorrow, but now for the animals, for the planet, for the world that you live in. Thank you.
Remember one thing. You cannot achieve anything just simply drifting from festival to festival, meeting to meeting. If you even save 5 animals on the road, it's better than sitting at one seminar. Because 20 people will watch you and 20 people will do the same thing and say, oh, why didn't we think about this? Just as she's changed the world, why the ranchers didn't think about it before? No, I'm sorry, I'm going to take 1 minute more. The first letter I ever wrote to the government was, please can we kill the dogs in a better way? Because it was in India, they used to kill the dogs in the Delhi municipality by throwing them into the ground, into pits, and then touching them with electric rods till they died. And this was taken for granted that this was what people did. And then I remember writing saying, please can you do it in a better way? It didn't occur to me that you didn't kill them. And then fortunately, I received an invitation, and the only time I've ever gone abroad, this is the second time, using animal money. I went to a conference in Washington where they were teaching you a county called San Mateo in California had stopped killing animals and they sterilized them. And that gave me the idea, and I came back to India and changed India so that we do not kill animals anymore, dogs. But the idea was given to me. So the ranchers got the idea from her. Each one of you, by working, can generate an idea. Sitting at seminars, listening to this, you just get a simple thing, but after this, do it on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's right.
Thank you, Venika ma'am and Renee ma'am. Thank you so much. My name is Bina Panta. I am from SPCA Nepal. I am from Nepal. One thing I want to say, just I write here and then I write the ma'am, what did they say before? 3 things I have to say here. One thing is we have to meet the parliament people and then government bodies and then to raise our voice, and then number 2 is we have to our community, just I add our community. The community is strong anywhere in the world. If community changes things and everything is changed. And our organization is doing these things. We have 2 shelters, one for dogs and other for cows. Just we are trying, not doing big things, just trying. We have to do 1,000 things, just we are doing 1 thing, I think. Just starting phase. We have to learn so many things. We heard both of men so many things. All we have beautiful stories inside here. All our heroes in our communities and then foreign countries communities. All are heroes here. All have different beautiful stories. We are seeing the dream, but we can fulfill our dream. We have to see dream first. We all have dream right now. We have to change. We must change. No option. Otherwise, no options. We have to learn the people. One thing I want to say, the to counseling the college students, to counseling the communities. Most of the cases of SPC Nepal, I handle the rescues and then abuse and so many cases. Then I'm trying to counseling, and then trying to counseling the community, trying to counseling the people, everywhere I'm trying to counseling. And then another thing, Ma'am told, we have to request all restaurant for vegan food. Wherever we went, we are going restaurant, we have to request, you have vegan food? We are eating vegetable food, but just pressure them, just request them, you have vegan food, because we are vegan. Vegan are increasing. Just talking and talking and talking. It takes time, but it will change, sure. So many things we got advice from both of ma'am. So many things we have to try. We are trying to implement in our society, because we are the local heroes. I'm seeing the local heroes, Nepali communities, local hero over here. Then we are sharing everything here. Then the just American country, European country, and then India also. So far, I think everything, cause of law and then implementation of everything, we are following his footsteps. Our country is small, population is also small. Yesterday, Ma'am told that try to be a vegan country, first vegan country in Nepal. Just beautiful words. We are trying, but we will do. If we, promise ourselves, we will do. We can do. So thank you so much, ma'am.
Listen to me. I'll tell you an easy way to do it. You want to make the restaurants vegan, instead of waiting for mock meat and mock milk. Dal is vegan. Yes. What you do is you need to invent something which is with a V sign in yellow, all right, for vegan. And the restaurants which write dal as vegetarian, tell them to put it in yellow so that it's vegan. So automatically, you will have 20 things on the menu of every restaurant that are already vegan. But they didn't put it as vegan. Once you do that, you get people into the habit of saying, oh, that's vegan, let me eat that. Do you understand? Yeah. So they keep only paneer and milk things as vegetarian, because that is the understood thing. And let them put the other things as a V in yellow for vegan. Because green is vegetarian, red is meat, now yellow will be vegan. Can you do that? That's much simpler than them putting new items on the menu. Sorry.
Thank you so much. It is easy things, but just we are trying to implement from tomorrow.
It's just simple. That's very good. There's a very important thing that you must remember. Fake it till you make it.
That's right.
It is easy for Nepal. I think so many green vegetable and then seasonal fruits over here. The weather is very good. Hot, cold, so. There are different type of temperature and then different type of fruits, seasonal fruits and then beans. So many things. It is easy for in the Western world rather than Nepal. It is easy in Nepal, I think. Right. There are so many vegan food. Just yellow food. Just told me that it is easy. Just we have to try. We must try.
No. Just get the restaurants to adopt the V yellow. Yeah.
Hi, I won't say much because obviously you've got loads of questions to ask. I think we've got to bear in mind that everybody's story is going to be slightly different from where they're coming from, if it's in the West or in the East. Just to give you a little bit of brief history about myself. I think my mantra is enough is never enough when it's for the animals. You can never do too much. As long as it's positive, proactive and peaceful, that's all it's about for me. I became vegan when I was 6 years old, and I was one of those kids that just fought my parents. I'm not eating meat at 3 years old, even though my family were carnivores. And by 6, I didn't know the word vegan. This was like 5 decades ago. I just understood the concept of veganism, and I didn't want any part of any cruelty inflicted upon animals. advocacy for the animals has just grown organically with me. So obviously the first thing I started with was peace on my plate. I don't eat them and I don't buy products from them. Then in my teenage years it was always a dream to obviously be able to nurture them, care for them, have an animal sanctuary. I achieved that when I was in my 20s. I never thought it would be possible. I don't come from a privileged background at all. In the West, we would consider my family to be very, very working class, and to have any land was just a fantasy. I never thought it would become a reality. It was a long story that happened in terms of one of the horses that I'd rescued. I was keeping them at a livery yard or a farm. He had an accident and he nearly lost his life. He went to the vet for 13 weeks, and it was at that point that as a family we agreed we cannot continue with this model. We cannot allow the animals to be cared for or in the care of people that don't feel the same way about them as we do. So I got my animal sanctuary, but at that point then, after a few years, I look at the animals that were at the sanctuary and I realise this is not enough. This isn't addressing the billions that are in the food chain and in exploitative industries. I've got to do something else. By this point in time, I've been vegan for like 3 decades. I do come from a successful cycling background, like pre-Olympic background, but I gave that up when I started the sanctuary, and I became a firefighter. And I've done all these things that seem kind of weird to people. I will always assess something and decide, can I make this work for the animals? Do I particularly want to become a firefighter? Not particularly in the community, but A, it's great for advocacy, it's great to show vegan strengths, it's great as a community spirit thing. It brings in funds for the animals, and I can do it when the animals don't need me. I'm on call at night, in the middle of the night. But after that, I thought, no, I need to show the world that a plant-based athlete can be strong. And back in this time, about 20 years ago, women's sport certainly wasn't getting the attention that male sport was. But in the UK, we got a runner called Paula Radcliffe who was doing really, really well in the marathon. And she built herself a platform, and hashtags, if you like, even though this is before social media, were already there to compete in and hopefully complete a marathon. You've got to be really tough. It's mentally and physically the most hard endurance event you can compete in. Whether it is or not, I don't know. But my idea was if I could just compete in and complete a marathon, that shows absolutely definitive proof that as a vegan, as a long-term vegan, you can basically do anything. So if I can do that, it's not going to prohibit you from like just going about your normal daily life. People say it was a strange idea to take to marathon running because in my teenage years I did have surgeries which I was told that I would never walk again, let alone be able to run. So it was difficult for me. But I always say with my running, I don't consider that a negative, I consider it a positive, because I think it allowed me to channel myself more and be more desperate to achieve. I'm not after winning races, breaking world records. I've got 4 world records marathon running. I'm not after doing that for trophies, times, prizes or whatever. I'm after doing it for the animals, advocacy for the animals. In fact, when, funny enough, Keaton Coon made a film about me. He made Cowspiracy and What the Hell's with Kip Anderson, and then Keaton contacted me out of the blue and said, hey, I want to make a film about somebody that I really admire. And I said, great, who is it? And he says, you. And I thought, well, what do you know about me? And he said, you've done all the positive things all through your life without really knowing it for the animals. So he came over and filmed me and made a film called Running for Good. And I said, why did you call it Running for Good? And he said, because that's what you do, you're running for the good of others. I certainly don't do it for the good of myself. I don't particularly like running. I don't even consider myself to be an athlete. I'm just using athletics for advocacy. And that's what I try to tell other people. You might have a genre in your life, whether it be a firefighter. So when I joined the fire brigade, I was the first woman firefighter in my whole region, let alone the first vegan lady. So it allowed me to start conversations with people, start debates and build awareness 25 years ago that actually I'm strong enough to do this. My advocacy, when I started to achieve decent results with running, I kind of wanted to visibly showcase veganism, and that's why in 2004 started the Vegan Runners. Purely because I was getting on the start lines of the world's major marathons with the best runners in the world, and obviously I couldn't go and connect with people individually and say, hey, do you know this, I'm vegan, but seeing this word, and subliminally people making the connection she's in the elite enclosure with all the Kenyans and the Ethiopians. She must be really, really good. And it allowed me to run through the streets of London, basically closed roads alone, just with this word showcasing. Before, you know, like 17, 18, 19 years ago, it was, in the West, it was not a big thing. Veganism was not a big thing. Since then, I've you know, placed in the London Marathon, the world's major marathons. After a while, I decided, do I really want to do this anymore? I don't particularly enjoy running. I'm blessed with the fact that I can run, but for me, it takes a lot of time to train 100 miles a week. I have got 600 rescued animals to care for and manage and provide for. We've got like 100 cattle, I've got like 120 horses, sheep, pigs, I've got all that going on in my life. So I thought, okay, I've got to be creative. I'm either going to retire or I'm going to do something different. That's when I took to the kind of the ultra stage races, the toughest foot race in the world, or whatever it's supposed to be. Just to show different genres, that I'm not just, you know, vital, I'm versatile, I can do it all, and I can do it over decades. So I got my world records. I just carry on. In fact, next week I'm going to another big race in Jordan, which I hope to win, which is a multi-stage race, purely to promote veganism. I'm not interested beyond that. I'm not interested in myself. And people ask me about my life. I only eat one meal a day, and I believe that truly I'm blessed to have that meal. It's not about me. It never has been, and it never will be. It's about the animals. Everything I do is for them, and I'd quite willingly lay down and die for them right now if I had to. That's the way I've always felt, and I'll never remember feeling any different. So I just carry on plodding where I can. I must admit, in the West, social media is a very toxic environment to inhabit. You will find a lot of resistance to plant-based living. I have done, or in fact, when I came back from winning the North Pole Marathon, I was actually told, I was invited to go on BBC Breakfast, which is a big channel put around, all around the world, and I was actually specifically told, please don't mention the fact that you're vegan. So things have changed since then, but back in 2013, 14, 15, 16. Now, I say veganism has exploded, certainly in the UK. I'm not sure that veganism has exploded. Plant-based living might have done, but not veganism. For me, the food that you eat is about 10th on my list of priorities. It's about the animals, the environment, the way you connect to others, global distribution of wealth, fairness, equality. It's about all those things. So long as I've got enough food, because many people do not have enough food on this planet. They have nothing. So for me to be kind of fussed, if it's beans and potatoes for the rest of my life and I can run on it, I will do. And that's all I'm about. Animals, I promote. I'm an honorary patron of the Vegan Society. I think my biggest form of advocacy actually was, my proudest moment within my running was starting the Vegan Running Club, which is now the biggest running club in the UK by membership, and it's just a great resource for people who are predisposed to doing sport and are worried about being plant-based. But beyond that, I'm sure you've got loads and loads of questions. I know I've got another little talk to do in a while, so I'll hand the microphone over and let these wonderful people give you their advice.
Well, thank you everyone for your sweet suggestions. So we'll straight go to the questions. So I would like to request the volunteers to note down the names of people who are interested for the question.
No, just stand up and ask, or sit down and ask. That's it.
Okay.
Just ask. What is that? There's not enough time left.
This teddy bear is Percy Bear. He's become a little bit of a global celebrity. I take him everywhere with me, and he's an honorary patron of vegan runs. But it's about connecting with youngsters. It's about, certainly when I started to travel the world running marathons, it was like that olive branch of, I'm not going to come in. A lot of people in the West expect, there's a funny saying, how can you tell someone's vegan? And because the first sentence they'll come and tell you they are. They see vegans as very confrontational. I'm not about confrontation at all. So Percy's like happy, smiley Percy. To be honest, I don't like the attention on myself, so I hide behind Percy. It's not about me. It's not about any of us. It's about the animals, and I don't want ever. I do say to people, don't worship false idols. It's to keep your feet on the ground, not your head in the clouds. It's about the animals, and there is so much suffering going on out there. We haven't got time to be proud. We've got no reason to be proud.
Is there any more questions from the audience?
Ma'am, I would like to ask one thing. Like, we are thinking about living.
Give me my mic.
No, it's okay. She can hear.
Okay.
As we think about living plant-based life and not eating animals for sure. But what about the farming today? Because the plants are produced by the bombardment of poison and pesticides. So plants also are not healthy. So what do you think about that and what to
Because
do?
the plants are not healthy, so you eat meat?
No. What to do for that? What about organic farming?
It's really important.
Yeah.
But the point is, organic farming has to be approached in a sensible way through education. Sikkim is an example where the chief minister
Right.
took 4 years in which every single person in school was taught how to do organic farming. He had teachers in every school, call them after school hours and make groups. And after 4 years, he turned this place organic. And Sikkim is totally, completely organic. Now, the mistake that was made in Sri Lanka. The Prime Minister became organic. He became an organic, and he declared that now everybody will grow organic, so there will be no more urea being imported. As a result, he himself is sitting in exile in Singapore. The whole government, the economy collapsed because the crops grow in the first year. If you're not trained, your crops will grow 20% less. If you're not trained. If you're trained to handle it and to understand how to grow them at exactly the same level, then nothing will happen. But a fiat that came in created this problem for Sri Lanka, and the whole economy collapsed. The government collapsed over organic farming. So organic is very, very important. It's just that Nepal needs to do it by education. You will save a huge amount of money. Every country's outgoings are for a large way because of urea. I know one minister in India has become rich because he's made his house on the India-Nepal border. In, I won't name the place. And every day he is smuggling urea from India to Nepal. Okay? So he has got 50 murders. And that's why they made him a minister. But that's not the point. The point is urea needs to be stopped, and urea is only one of the fertilizers. You need to stop all the pesticides. What Gauri did was, about 5 years ago, when I was minister, she called in the pesticide people. You remember the pesticide? Huh? Sorry, what?
Neonicotinoids.
No, not neonicotinoids. We called it the pesticide people, and we actually sat with them on experimentation for pesticides, which also takes place in every country, and we had that stopped. And we also talked to them about which pesticides need not come in. So you have to go through that exercise. You know, Nepal has to grow from just taking 15 dogs into the SPCA and sitting there. You have to make a whiteboard, like I said, make a list of all the big things, starting from making the animal welfare law. You have to give a Bana law to the government, which includes pesticides. Yeah.
While talking about veganism, we also should promote organic farming.
It has
also,
to be.
because this is the
Veganism
alternative.
cannot be in isolation. You have to be part of the animal welfare movement, the farmers movement, the wildlife movement, the environmental movement, of which pesticides are a very, very important part. You have to get rid of them.
Right.
But how to get rid of them?
Yeah, I'd like to say something to that.
Thank you. Yes, she's so true, so right. In the West, it's a great question, because in the West, we are taking it to the next level. It's my mission to take it beyond organic to veganic. In other words, in the West, I'm not sure here, but in the West, they put bone meal, they put feathers, they put blood.
No, but bone meal, feathers, and blood will still work.
Yeah, but however, let me just say this. Even though they will work, they still are animal agriculture. That substance comes from the feedlots. And so what we are doing, this is what we are doing with Rancher Advocacy Program. When we work with our farms, we say they have to be veganic. In other words, whatever we're going to use for your land, it's going to be from a veganic source. In other words, there's somebody I know in Houston, and they have a place called Farm Dirt. And this is an incredibly amazing place. It's in the middle of just a very, very poor community. He bought up 6 or 7 blocks, very cheap, and all the Whole Foods, all the grocery stores from all around come and bring all their produce to him. All the tree companies, all the shrub companies, all the extra trees that they trim, they bring all of that, they dump it. He has this system of like tubes. They run plastic tubes that run on the ground with holes with a generator, and he pumps up this oxygen through all these just blocks and blocks and blocks of these tubes that bring oxygen up. All of this organic, veganic matter, no bones, no blood, no feathers, on top of all this. And within 30 days, he has the most amazing veganic dirt.
Write this down. Learn it. It's on the net.
Yeah, it's very, very important because you can smell the purity. When we first started our first seed, Kip Anderson wanted us to start a veganic garden. He wanted us to prove it. Not that the blood and the bone and the feathers won't work, because yes, they will. But in the future, very near future, we've got to end animal agriculture. And if we're going to end animal agriculture, I really believe this, then we have to go beyond organic and go veganic. Because the row crops, we got to stop the row cropping. We got to start bringing back deforestation. We got to teach people how to use their land in the native way so that they're growing the plants, the shrubs. They're bringing back all of the natural elements of that land so that we can bring back the natural
What
ways
he
of
actually
food.
meant was chemicals.
Yeah.
We,
Yes.
the third world,
Yeah.
is your biggest buyer. So we're inundated with 600 pesticides.
Right, just like the soy in the United States. 90% of the soy grown feeds what? Cattle. You know why? Because the big chemical companies are all involved with that. Only 10% of the soy goes to feed humans. And I hear your question, and I understand. But where I'm going with this is that if you are taking your land and you're restoring it back to natural balance, then you're not going to be using chemicals. That's where I was going. We got to restore land. See, we only have one planet. We have one mother, our Earth. And I am here, just like I heard friend Fiona say, I'm here for one reason only, to shout as loud as I can for the animals and for our mother, that we are on fire, we're burning. We have to learn how to take care of this land without chemicals, bring it back to balance, restore it. She teaches us naturally.
No,
We
but
know chemicals won't work.
the thing is that in this case, it's going to have to be a political decision.
It is going to have to be a political decision. But who drives the politics? Either the powerful people in politics do it because your voice isn't heard and you think you don't have a voice, or you get in there and you get busy and you go to the steps of your parliament or Congress, as we are in the United States. Me and my partner Connie, we are determined every 3 months to go to the doorsteps of Congress. We're taking our lobbyists with us. We are meeting with legislators. We are not anything special. We're just, and women, they want to hear your voice. But if you're not there, they do everything they can to whatever they want to do. You have to show up. Your voice matters. And you take all of these things together and you get the results. But it takes all of you. And you do have to make your voice heard in government. Absolutely.
So we